Welcome back to the Smite Minor League. Finch here, joined by Taco. And we've made our way to North America this time, and we're going to take a look at one of the top teams here go up against another very strong team. It's Armada going up against Sanguine in this matchup, and it's hard, I think, not to favor Armada, but if anyone could take them down, I think it's the Sanguine team.
Sanguine definitely feel like formidable opponents at least to
sure.
go up against these behemoths from North America, and I feel like that's a pretty suitable term when you consider that Armada has just been blowing through the Smite Minor League in North America.
Yeah, this is a team that is stacked up to the brim with talent, Armada. They're 4-0 at this point. Baskin on this team, obviously, in the solo lane. Scream as well in the jungle. Then Snoopy in their hunter role. Those three players, and I think it goes without saying, are all SPL caliber tomorrow if it fit them, if it suited them. Meerkat and Gino also very strong players. Gino has been a huge part of it. Meerkat at times has kind of felt like he's along for the ride, but I think that he's also shown that he can carry his own weight too. But really for me, this is the Baskin, Scream, and Snoopy show, and it oftentimes feels like they're fighting to see who can do more damage or get more kills that day.
But when you need somebody to truly gas you up like never before,
right,
you call in your boy Meerkat.
That's
you
a good
know
point.
He's got the moral support, and he's got just like the team mentality that you need to just be like, yes, Baskin, yes, Scream, carry me through another set of SML.
That's right. No one will let you know that you're farming more than Meerkat. He'll definitely point it out for you, so there is no doubt. But over on the other side, they have a very strong team they're going up against, right, in Sanguine. This is the LatAm North Superstars is how I like to refer to them. This team is a very, very good mesh together of some of those strongest players. Yarkor's on this team, Panatom as well, Shinto, Rongyu, Netroid. I mean, these players have been playing Smite for such a long time, battling their way through, and I'm glad they have a chance here in the SML for North America to continue to show what they can do.
Well, personally, I'm glad, Finch, that you mentioned Shinto and Benito specifically, because these are the two members that I think are going to need to have some standout performances today if they want a chance of toppling Armada, or at least trying to draw the series to like a game 3, because I think that that's the best that anyone has been able to do so far. Cryptic,
right,
actually being the only ones to take it all 3 games so far with Armada. But Sanguine, like I said, Benito and Shinto, I think the consistency factor there is definitely more so in Shinto than Benito. I think that at times Benito can still kind of be a little bit shaky depending on the caliber of opponent that he's going against. And
right.
Scream is definitely no one to scoff at, and it kind of works both ways in this aspect.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I don't know if there's much that any person can do to stop Baskin and Scream from doing what they want to do. And I mean that the SPL level too, it's very difficult to slow them down. So I don't even know if I would recommend that as what you're looking at. I say you look towards this mid lane and see if there's a chance that, like you said, you can get Shinto off to a good start. See if you can get him ahead, get him to the point where maybe he can try and compete with those guys, because they're probably just going to do Baskin and Scream things no matter what you do. I don't even know if it's realistically worth trying to slow them down. Instead, maybe try and look to see if you can get ahead elsewhere.
And there has been a few weeks of competition that's taken place already. So teams like Cryptic, Sanguine, Space Station Gold, they've all had a decent opportunity now, I think, to truly develop a little bit more insight towards what Armada likes to run. And for the most part, it kind of just feels as though Armada just play a lot of really aggressive early game compositions.
Yeah, they like to try and get out in front right away, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see that today as we move into the picks and bans for game number 1. We'll get them up on the screen here for you. Armada in that first pick slot, which means they have a chance to bully Sanguine a little bit, to force them to ban away the Freya and the King Arthur, and then they can pick whatever they want. Armada are listening to me. They want to make sure I look silly as they ban away the Freya. So thanks, Armada. I appreciate you guys.
A few guys that really come to mind, though, when we're talking this Armada roster: Pele, Fenrir, Neja, Mercury.
Yes.
I think that big
Hyper
burst assassins are the main message here, as well as just those flexible assassins. Because Fenrir and Neja, maybe not necessarily as bursty now after receiving a couple of shifts and nerfs, but I definitely still feel as though they can be decent priority picks. And Sanguine already feeling threatened enough.
I don't get this.
Well, because 3 different people from Armada could possibly play Fenrir, and Armada, they
That
just
makes
have
sense.
zero intentions of playing the Arthur.
No, why? Yeah, they don't have to ban it though. Like, I don't get it.
It's probably, you know what, I bet you, no, I'm not even trolling. This is what I guarantee it is. So Baskin tells his team, I don't feel like playing Arthur today. It's boring. I want to do something more fun.
So they ban. But what I'm saying is, for sure, Sanguine will ban them. Like, for sure. I don't know.
You want to believe so, but I don't know, Finch. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff happening in the
Maybe-
minor league.
maybe
I mean,
so.
just think about that last set where Out Cold struggling to win with
King Arthur and
Merlin. So maybe the god's not as potent as we once believed, or at least teams seeming to make the adjustments necessary to figure them out.
There definitely is some room to stop those picks. Merlin can be exposed a little bit if he's not perfectly with the flicker, and you can sit on top of King Arthur and punish him too. So there's some options against those players, but we'll see what ends up happening in this set. Does Armada pick the Xbalanque first? And that makes some sense to me. One of the strongest hunters right now, Darkest of Nights, just a straight-up good ultimate. I mean, I don't even know if there's more to say.
And the response for Bacchus Outposh feels strong on paper, but I do have some concerns here that Scream might just look to take the Awelish, and this Bacchus could have possibly been a trap card that Sanguine just activated. We'll have to wait and see, though, as the draft continues to develop. Armada, though, choosing to get the Agni, this is going to be critical, I think, in terms of those jungle fights and just helping Armada have some potential fight back into the area denial that Outposh can provide.
Well, like you were saying, the Naja has already come through, and this is some flex potential, right? This could go into the jungle, this could go into the support, even potentially be something for Baskin if he wants to try and make some rotation. So there's some flex with this. The Agni and the Xbalanque, though, not as much, but very likely those are going to be going to Snoopy and Meerkat, and we know where those are. So it's still the support, the jungle, and the solo that we're waiting to see from Armada to flesh out.
The big thing I'm really noticing, though, as well from Sanguine's composition is, yes, it seems like it could be aggressive, but it's also fairly immobile in comparison to Armada. My main concern here, when I see a Naja at least, I'm envisioning just either Gino or Scream or even Baskin. I mean, it's still up in the air at this point, but I think that any one of those three players could just look to relentlessly run down this Outposh AMC. And if we're expecting to see Windfire Wheels every time that Outposh tries to hit forward, it's going to cause a lot of problems, I think, as far as player damage is concerned from Sanguine.
And I love this rat band. I was just thinking that that's one of the best gods to punish this lack of mobility that would be coming out from Sanguine. Drop right on top of the Outwash, right on top of the Amuzen Cobb. And if you keep that CC chain going, you never give them a chance to really play Smite. So it's smart to take that one out of there, as Armada are banning the Inbots that we just saw Fails play quite well earlier today.
It's not necessarily that Humbots has a ton of pressure in the early game either, but he would have been well-rounded for Sanguine's composition. It would have given Sanguine another form of area denial, and Fear No Evil in general can just be such a potent ability against the likes of Naja Xbalanque. Makes it really difficult, I think, to track down targets or ideal targets during the Darkest Night. That's
right, so make sure they get that off the table. Bellona going to come through for Sanguine. Likely that's going to be going over to Yarkor in the solo lane, I'd imagine, as Osiris comes in. A god we don't see a ton of, but he certainly can be strong, can be good into physical damage dealers in particular. He can build things like Berserker Shield very well. And now the Cerberus comes through. So I got to think that's the Cerberus for Gino, and then Osiris goes over to Basket.
Still mildly interchangeable, though, and I never want to say anything specific for Armada because these guys have shown us plenty of times before in the past just how flexible all of their players can be with their God Pick choice selections. Something I do really like, though, about this Cerberus lock-in is that Stingent Torment is also going to bring in a lot of great interrupt. So those Bacchus flop initiations that Sanguine might have been banking on to help really set up this Outposh AMC, not necessarily going to be there every single time with that Cerb on the map.
Bakasura comes through, so this will likely be for Pantom in the jungle. A strong draft from Sanguine by all means. The only questions are the Outposh and Amuzen Cobb going to be given time to farm from me? Are they going to be getting punished early on by this aggressive draft from Armada?
I think Sanguine kind of played themselves personally. I think the Bakasura lock-in was what I'm not too certain of, just because Regurgitate's going to be nullified by the Cerberus.
That's right. Might be able to just pick him up and throw him back out of there. We'll see, though, once everything comes out in the wash, we actually get into the action. Armada up against Sanguine. Game 1 about to happen. Let's jump right into the action.
And I'm sure as hell going to dive in. It's Armada versus Sanguine Esports here. And Armada have put on a fantastic performance thus far, Toli. Their star-studded lineup, not a slouch whatsoever. But Sanguine have certainly done as well. Tom and Toli on the cast, Doug on the observation as per usual. And Sanguine starting off with a harassment strategy.
A little bit of an SPL start. Yarkor on the Bellona using that shield bash, finding the first kill. You don't want to fight the Bellona, but that's why Baskin went for this early Osiris.
I didn't really think they were going to be able to get it. 2 versus 3. And Hardcore and Rongyu able to figure it out. Hardcore kind of low here and likely will die. Here comes the blink from Scream, and, well, this should be a problem for Hardcore. Rongyu going to find his way out. And the buff spawns at 24 seconds. So it's been about 26 seconds. Baskin going to take care of Hardcore. Rongyu still here. And speed buff is taken by Armada, but it takes them about half a minute.
It took a very long time, probably more than about 25 seconds or so, as the red buff will get secured for Shinto as well. So Sanguine was able to delay the speed buff, was able to strip away the red buff. The experience permitted is the huge telltale sign, because already you're seeing the difference between Scream and also Panitum. But the difference, though, is the support and the solo lane is lacking quite heavily.
That said, First Blood bounty does go over to Sanguine, so they've got themselves a, well, they had themselves a baby lead. Armada able to kind of finish that one up. So Hardcore with this first kill, still only level 1. How does this solo lane matchup go now after all that nonsense?
Oh, Meerkat. Oh, he's died to the bleed. I was about to talk about it until I saw Shinto connect.
I thought he was good.
Agni just doesn't have the health pool to deal with it being that low. But the solo lane matchup for Baskin and Yarkor should be pretty standard. But it's not going to be a solo lane with Rongyu right around the corner. It's basically a rush to the Berserker shield for both of these solo laners, as Sanguine is able to look for a kill on Baskin, but no, the passive of the Osiris was fully stacked, providing him 16% physical mitigation and 8% magical.
Mitigation, man, that's just absurd. So much damage prevented here by Baskin, being a little translucent boy.
And he was holding on to the stacks for as long as he can to get that mitigation. You drop the basic attacks while you're illuminated, and you get that Fatalis effect. You can gas pedal for the basic attacks, but it's kind of a catch-22, because although you do want to chase people down, you also want to be tankier if possible, especially when you're dealing with an early game Abakus right beside you.
Sanguine one more time, going to go for the invade. The blue buff is on their minds, but they're a little too early. Speed buff is on their minds, but they're a little bit too late. Scream with the Naja, able to clean things up very, very quickly. Hardcore and Rongyu. Now aggressing on Scream. There's the knockup as well. Both players level 3. Sash will immune. And there's a stun. The damage could be here. The sprint not good enough. And Hardcore finds a kill behind the tier 2 tower. 3 minutes and 13 in.
It was actually Sanguine's sprint to make sure that the ring bounce slow wasn't going to prevent Sanguine from finding the kill. And this is allowing Panitum a huge edge now. Sitting at level 5, almost 500 experience per minute. Almost doubling past the experience per minute.
Snoopy gonna get jumped on. And here's the ultimate from Panatom. Looking for the tower dive, gets interrupted. Likely dead here. Tower shot. Preemptive tower dive there. Scream lets him know how he feels. Snoopy able to walk away, no problem.
Scream very upset from getting really camped, honestly, with already 2 deaths, but a good recognition, being able to relieve a lot of that pressure in the duo lane, picking up the aggressive Panitum, diving the tier 2 tower. There needed to be the Aegis. There needed to be the Blink Naja to make that play stop in its tracks.
This is definitely a frustrating game for Armada to play and deal with at the moment. Down about 500 gold, and while Armada certainly has the power to get out from under the thumb, Sanguine are just playing annoying,
yes.
Like I said. From minute 1, looking for the invade and the harass. And actually, let me scratch that. Not for the invade. They weren't really playing on the speed buff. They were just playing on the player. I think that speaks volumes as to what they were trying to do there.
Well, you kill the player, you're probably going to get the buff after the fact.
But,
so.
a lot of times when you see the invades, right, you'll see players like just look for that last hit of the buff.
Sure.
Sanguine weren't looking at the buff at all. They were just trying to progress in the team fight.
Well, that's because of the kit of Bologna in general. She wants to box early on because of the passive. As long as she's getting basic attack or she uses basic attacks, she gets extra protection. She's able to really absorb those shots with the shield bash of that first ability. So all that reflect damage was what allowed Scream to die so early in the game.
All right, now things a little bit different. Sanguine, just shy of 1,000 gold lead, looking to make it there as they invade the red buff. Meerkat dash down. Sanguine here. Gino going to be chased out on the right side, and the red buff looks like it goes the way of Armada. Despite Sanguine's best efforts. We'll see if Meerkat goes to pick it up, and with Meerkat not opting to pick up that red buff.
It's great. It's great
I think
on
Sanguine
side.
are able to go ahead and
They got it. Gino, though, looking for a play on his own right. Here comes the ultimate out of the upwash, and Panitum looking for something, but a good disengage from Gino. And that's the second red buff invade that Sanguine is able to deny Meerkat with a 2-level lead onto Shinto now. This kind of makes up for the lag in the solo lane, where Yarkor was harassing Scream so much as putting himself behind, but that's fine, because there's not too much kill potential when you're just scourging away at the minions anyway. You're getting back all that health.
Well, Baskin certainly looking to battle it out. Panitum walking away from the blue buff. Wrongview is here, and Baskin don't know it.
I think he does with that ward. He kind of telegraphed where Panitum was, and Baskin keeping his passive up a little bit, still receiving a lot of that damage mitigation, but look at Meerkat and Gino.
Over the wall comes the bombs, and Wrongview down to about 25%. Hardcore playing it safe. Now he's going to go all the way in. Wrongview backing to no, waiting for his moment. And the time as well. Blue buff goes down. Baskin confirms. There's the ultimate out of the doggo. And Hardcore toss to the right-hand side. Trying to deal with Baskin still, and it's an all-out retreat now. Hardcore dashes away. And Baskin with the ultimate intact. Didn't even use it there. Sanguine able to back off, no problem.
He was in no threat to use that Lord of the Afterlife. The target was onto Meerkat, the squishy Agni. So that makes a little bit of sense. And I like the fact that Armada are the ones to be aggressive now, using their only advantage, Baskin, currently in this game by invading the blue buffs, because they haven't been successful in terms of keeping their red buffs alive. And it's been difficult for Scream occasionally to get his own speed buffs. But look at the net worth charts now. Because of that one kill under the tier 2 tower where Scream rotated back, he's able to cut the lead basically, where now he has the lead by about 300 gold.
Yeah, nice little turnaround there coming out. So we'll see if that can extend to the rest of the squad as well. Sanguine so far have played a nice early game. Gino jumped on by 2 separate players. And Panitum gonna get out of there, just barely though.
Took 2 tower shots as well. That was so dicey. He was stunned right inside that tower line. So he couldn't really get out of that one. I think it was Meerkat's Agni bomb stun from a distance there. And the only reason why that play was allowed was because Gino used his Stygian Torment at that blue buff. And because he jumped up and down at that wave to get some more sustain and also stall the way for Meerkat to absorb, that was a recognition from Sanguine. Without the ultimate, without the escape, that was a free kill.
Hardcore gonna suffer a lot of poke here as Baskin winds up being aggressive, as he should be, 2 levels up in this lane. Hardcore, if you're just joining us, got himself down because of some repeated jungle invades and pressure, and it's been working out for Sanguine on a grand scale. But in that lane, clearly not the victor versus Baskin.
Outside of the tier 2 tower dive, Sanguine has been playing this relatively well, almost to perfection. They probably didn't need to make that tower dive, and that's the only reason why Armada are still actually doing a fair job at coming back into this game with the picks there, as Baskin's also still able to snowball this lead with Warrior Tabai advantage versus only tier 2 boots at a Yarkor. This level 10 Osiris with a 3-level lead is able to proxy between the tier 1 and tier 2 and then harass Panitum after the speed buff.
Wrongview looked like he could have been the target, but wiggles away underneath the tower. Now Armada, the invading team, uses Snoopy's ultimate to turn the lights out as well. Panatom gonna be tossed to left side directly into Scream. And Scream's gonna bring one down. Meerkat with the last hit on that one. Panatom is toasted, but 2 players on Armada have suffered the wrath. And so it's 4 versus 3. Sanguine with the advantage.
I was watching the relic timer for Panitum, and as he engaged, he had about 5 or 6 seconds remaining during the Stygian Torment. And as he landed from the Windfire wheels, 2 seconds remaining on the bead. So really unfortunate for Panitum, but at least trading out jungle for jungler, it's pretty much a wash. A red buff still going the way of Shinto.
No attempt on the Gold's Fury, though, Totally. Just too small of a window for Sanguine to really look forward, despite the power play 4 versus 3 situation. Characters just don't have enough power to really look for the objective, I suppose.
So far, it's a little early for Sanguine to do it because of the ultimate from Shinto being expended, and Meerkat is heavily under level, so you need him to get the items necessary to start making the impact, specifically Spirit the Magus, to start getting that damage over time online.
Well, here it is. Sanguine going for the Gold Fury this time around. Gino doesn't have Stygian Torment, and with all those corpses lined up, pop, pop, easy peasy. Sanguine able to take the Gold Fury here, just 10.5 in. 9 kills, and Sanguine owned 2/3 of them as well. Anatoly. Sanguine are off to a great start.
A very great start against Armada that have been dictating the whole North American minor league, honestly, on their own front. So the fact that they can come in here today and really make a statement, even though, you know, the game is still undecided, uncertain, but they really stuck it to Armada so far.
That's exactly what they've been, you know, trying to do, just continuing to step on the throat. And Armada has now made some of these counter changes, right? Looking for the plays on the enemy side of the jungle rather than just be content to be repeatedly invaded, maybe win the team fight. But being on the other side of the map like they're doing here for the second time in a row, very important.
Scream looking for the invade. Very successful, and ultimate out of Snoopy is what scared Sanguine away from defending their own red buff.
So for now, we watch Armada kind of look towards the future. You see the Masamune first item here for Scream. He realizes he's going to be in the middle of these team fights. He's going to be going up, and then when he comes down, everybody's going to surround him. So some extra health as well is kind of nice, but also, of course, the passive of Masamune going to help him out as well.
Oh, Snoopy could be in a little bit of trouble. Able to disengage with the Rising Jaguar. Keep in mind, he doesn't have beads, so if he gets CC'd again, he's just going to be locked down till eternity. But no real follow-up after that belly flop, having Scream around the corner. Even that 2v3 would have been a good spot. And as you mentioned, for Scream having the Masamune, that health is a big deal. 100 health to be exact. That 35 protections as long as you're surrounded by 5 members, which is pretty common in Smite to have everybody beside you when Naja does come landing down. Normally, Scream as a non-Zhao player would like to get in and get out, so you're not always going to have all 5 stacks available, but even having, let's say, 3 stacks with 21 protection for a non-Zhao that has sustain on that second ability, you're getting more value now out of that sustain with the effective health.
You got to start thinking about, you know, the big picture right there. I mentioned it all the time with respect to Camazons, the effective health and that sustain, so certainly a concept that can be brought to multiple characters. Baskin, jump for jump, as Penitom trying to turn things around. Scream shows up on the back line and will deal with the jungle Bakasura. Penitom falls down. Now Hardcore on the chase looking for Scream. He heals up. 3-man stun from Gino. And
wow.
Here's the turnaround, setting up Meerkat. 1 for the mid laner. Gino does sacrifice himself there. 2 for 1, 2 for 2. Scream walking into the Phoenix.
I'm confused as to what happened there because I thought he was out completely. He walked behind the speed buff. What must have happened was he probably walked by. I didn't see this happen because I was watching the team fight, but maybe he walked by the right side Phoenix and then he tried to cut through the mid Phoenix because he was afraid all those players at the speed buff would have cut him off. And it looked like he was clean to take that path because Gino did such a good job zoning and using that Stygian Torment, but when you're kind of escaping that path, sometimes you can't really predict the future, right? So I don't fault Scream there. He thought maybe he would have had enough sustain to tank all those Phoenix shots. So at the end of the day, still finding the tower dive onto Penitom, finding the kill also, I believe, onto Shinto. So overall, it was a 2 for 2.
Nice job there. Baskin started that one, of course. Level 15 on the solo Osiris. Oh. And he's chunking right now. He's 3 levels above anybody on the right side of the map here for Sanguine. Only 1 level above Netroid, but, well, not really a threat to old Basket at the moment here in the short lane.
I love the fact that he's waiting until the very last second before attacking Yarkor. While you're tethering somebody, they deal less damage. And as you're under the tier 2 tower, obviously you don't want to hit them absorbing that tower shot, right? So you guarantee the stun, then you go for a couple of pot shots and disengage. With this 3-level lead, with this item lead having Frostbound Hammer, there's more health, there's more damage mitigation with the Osiris passive, and Baskin is calculating all this out, getting the edge with now a 4-level lead.
Primal Fury about to respawn will likely not see teams completely alter their game plan for the Primal Fury. Recently buffed from 5% to 7% extra damage to jungle camps and monsters. I think that it is, in players' mind, the least valuable of the Gold Furies. Regular Gold Fury and Oni Fury being the other 2 of conversation.
I think given the time and place, Primal Fury could be more valuable than the Oni Fury. It's all game-by-game basis. Obviously, you would want to have an Oni Fury to distract the enemy, having to defend all 3 waves, but it's what you do during the timing of the Oni Fury.
I really like the, well,
Snoopy just
Snoopy's gonna run away. While up top, the jungler taken care of by Gino. The rest of Armada here in the enemy jungle. Jumping forward is Baskin, and he's putting Rongu down. Another play, 7-7. And Armada, a celebratory drink for them as they march towards the 16th minute.
At least Natroid can respond in kind, getting himself a tier 1 tower. Scream, though, is looking for the rotation. Is he going to have the back off in time? It looks like he just narrowly did. I think Scream really wanted to find the blink, although it is on cooldown for 95 seconds. And I like the fact that Natroid brought out the Musin Cop against Armada specifically, because this is a god that is challenging your mechanics. And when you're challenging Snoopy to a boxing match, you know, a person that has this much Smite experience, that takes some confidence to do.
Well, Armada certainly confident as they take down the Primal Fury, 1630 in. And with that, they'll also push their lead forward ever so slightly. 3,000, maybe 3,300 more specifically here. In the lead is Armada.
And the fact that they were behind 1,000 to 2,000 gold since the very beginning of the game with all the speed buff shenanigans goes to show their perseverance and still looking for more, even onto Panino.
Always.
That tier 2 tower, not even enough to save his life.
Yeah, you don't want to run into the whole team, and you don't want to run into Meerkat by himself. And what has happened, Toli?
Get soloed by Meerkat. Let's go.
Wow, that was really big. That was.
Do you remember that?
You've been waiting for
the
that.
COD Gears of Fate Invitational.
You've been waiting for that, haven't you?
No, not really.
Toli
It was just hype.
Toli is fully stood up with the largest smile on his face.
It's not every day you get to see somebody getting soloed by Meerkat.
Have you ever been soloed by Meerkat?
Can't say that I have.
I bet you have been.
Well, honestly, all right, so here's the thing that happens, right? If Meerkat's ever on the enemy team and you die, it doesn't matter who gets that kill, because you just got soloed by Meerkat.
So have you
So
been-
all these 9 kills by Armada is Meerkat soloing Sanguine.
But he's 3-1-3. He's been a part of
Doesn't
6
matter.
of the 9 kills.
Doesn't matter. They all got soloed by Meerkat. His presence alone does
Well,
that.
he has 3 assists, meaning that there are at least 3 kills that he did not solo.
You always talk about intangibles, F-Dot. Always about the intangibles. And when
Yeah,
Meerkat's on the enemy team, you're just getting soloed by Meerkat nonstop.
But there are 3 kills that he wasn't there for.
Yeah.
He's 3-1-3.
I guess we're reversing roles here because I'm the intangible guy now. And you're the analysis play by or statistic dude.
All right, well, Baskin here looking for a last hit. That'll give him 28 gold per minion. Maybe with that amount of gold, he'll be able to change things. So if he gets 2 last hits on those minions, it becomes 56 gold. You like how I did that math, Toli?
Not really.
You don't like that one?
Not at all, actually. I think the fans at home would rather have me stick it to the math.
I don't know about that one. Well, right now, almost 19 minutes in, Fire Giant being aggressed on. It is 93% as strong as it once was because of the Primal Fury 27%. And Armada secure the Fire Giant as they flip the coin. And Baskin comes up heads. Hardcore going back in the backyard. Penny Thumb gonna sit down as Scream just does his thing.
So normally this is where I would break down as to why that Fire Giant was even being allowed, but I gotta correct you there. Being 93% as effective. We're gonna talk numbers here, F-Dot, here. All right, Fire Giant doesn't lose damage or protections or health.
I knew this was gonna happen.
So when you said it was 93% as effective, you were totally in the wrong there.
Well, Meerkat just chugs along and gets us to 12-7. Metrioid with the flank looks good. The 2-on-2 in the right side lane is on. Scream losing this one as Metrioid finds the slowdown. And who's there on the other side? It's Snoopy dashing forward. Tag in like it's WrestleMania. And Rongu falls down just like Mankind did off a Hell in a Cell.
Snoopy now trying to get out of the hell that he's put himself in after looking to play too aggressive, sacrificing his own life only for the support. I like the fact that Rongu absorbed all those poison darts, allowing Metroid to get out of dodge there. And he wanted to kind of absorb that shots to also allow for the sprint and the horrific emblem after the fact. Just couldn't really make it happen fast enough because of Gino's paralyzing spit.
20.5 into this one. Armada have solidified their lead, 8,000 gold. Sanguine, a strong start, a very strong start actually, but unable to really bring this one to the mid and the late game.
I'm still looking back at that tier 2 tower dive when Panitum was level 5 or 6, the Aegis out of Snoopy, the Blink out of Scream. If that play never happened, I think that there's still a huge level deficit, and Scream just basically would be struggling the whole game, but, you know, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Sometimes you let the lead play yourself, and that's kind of what happened, says Sanguine. They got a little bit too comfortable with this 2 to 3 level lead from the Bakasura jungle.
That's close. That's close. You almost got it, Tully.
What do you mean? I got there.
Well, it's you want to play your lead, but you can't let the lead play you.
Oh, okay.
We were
I was half
close.
off. That's where you come in and, you know, finish the job.
Got it. Wrong you here. Trying to become the right you. Gonna jump away. There's the dash in from Scream, waiting for the beads. It won't come. Shinto once stood, and Shinto will lie. Was that epic?
It was pretty good.
You like that?
Unfortunately for Shinto, his beats just now coming off of cooldown. Didn't have it available during the Naja stun. Normally when you stun his Naja, you're playing the mind games like, huh, all right, he didn't beats after 2 seconds,
Yep.
and now I do it. And then they do beats after the 2 seconds, you're like, damn it.
Well, the mid lane Phoenix can't beads, certainly with the damage coming into it from Armada. 64,000 gold in the coffers of the blue team. Big play coming out from Panitum. Doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Gino looking for hardcore. There's a stun. Meerkat in the middle. Basket on the left. The mid lane Phoenix going to go down. This is an early one, Tully. All the games have been quick, but in 22 minutes of play, Armada looking to take game 1.
Very clean performance by Baskin specifically. I think that he was the catalyst that allowed Armada to get back into this game.
Certainly could be Armada with a poor start, or maybe that's the other way around. We saw the team across the way with the repeated invades going out towards the speed buff, and that really worked out for the first 10 minutes or so of the game. But then Armada later on able to just usurp control and deal with it as they should.
That's right. Despite losing some of their own red buffs, they turned it around about 7 to 8 minutes later with a couple of red buffs on themselves, stealing away the blue buffs before that, still keeping themselves relevant in this game.
Well, a nice play there coming out from Armada. We'll see how they do in game 2, but first, a reflection.
I'd be happy to reflect here for you, Tom. It's Finch and Taco having a peaceful
They're
reflection.
really missing out on the blessing part, so I got
That's
you guys.
right,
This
yeah.
is exactly what Finch was doing. Now you have the whole.
Oh, you couldn't
sequence
see
of
it from behind the
events.
desk, but yes, it was like this. We were having a peaceful, reflective time here on the desk. But it was anything but peaceful and reflective inside the actual game here. There was action from minute number 1 as Armada grabbed the victory in that first game. It was actually Scream, I think, falling for first blood. They had that action around the speed buff, and then Scream had time to respawn and come back in and help them find a kill for Basket. So this game was just was kind of chaos from the very beginning.
When you die at level 1, one of the beauties of it is that, sure, you might have been first blood, but I think it was a pretty decent recovery that Scream was able to work his way back into the action. And once Baskin got that first kill, I think that was more devastating than the initial first blood, because giving Baskin a lane that he can go free farm momentarily is just never a good look for a team.
That was the runaway from Scream. I think he ended up going up by the Phoenixes later and eventually ended up died. But Gino got a really nice pull in the back of that engagement too. But this was a game where I think Sanguine got kind of down in the mud with Armada and fought their dirty game. And they just still, even then, couldn't come out on top. There were some good invades towards the beginning of the game in favor of Sanguine, but that didn't end up being enough. Armada did a good job flipping the script on them, coming back and finding some nice kills of their own. It really felt like they got kind of out-muscled by Baskin and Scream as this game went on.
I think that's all it came down to. Those initial concerns we raised when we were watching this draft take place, Finch, just came to life in this game, because Shinto and Netruid, I think, just really struggle with positioning. And Netruid, while he only died one time, he was still shut out for being able to just essentially free cast from the back line like you would imagine when you have an outwash in your team. I think that Shinto and because of Shinto also struggling, that did begin to take place and kind of spill over into the jungle aspects as well. Although I do feel as though Scream in general, alongside of Meerkat, was having a much easier time controlling Benitum in the jungle.
I think so too. The Najah was very strong for them. They made the nice play into the tier 2 that eventually ended up in Scream dying to the Phoenix later on. But really, what's scary for me about this Armada team, and we keep saying it, is that they just are a team that's strong with all 5 members of them. Even Meerkat finding the kill over in dueling, they got totally rather excited. So I mean, anyone on this team at any moment can just beat you, it feels like, on this Armada roster.
Yeah, solo by Meerkat, a pretty hype moment.
Very, very hype. is how I would describe it. As everyone's having a little bit of fun here on this SML Tuesday. But Armada were able to grab that first victory, so we'll be moving into their game here in just a moment. I do want to let you all know that we're not going to be doing the very last set here of the day. Unfortunately, Space Station DQ'd out of that set, so we're not going to be able to bring you that action. They weren't quite able to field all their players and finish that set out. So this will be the last one of the day, though it could still go to 3 games here, Taco. Not 100% on how long this one's going to go. Sanguine could certainly still take this one the distance, but so far it's favoring Armada, at least from what we saw from in Game 1.
Yeah, rough stuff for Space Station Gold for sure, having some connectivity issues for Maddie and Chapel, unfortunately. But hey, that's what we got Armada here for against Sanguine right now. And getting back on track to the action heading into Game 2, I definitely think that there is some opportunity here for Sanguine to try and take the momentum back under their control. One thing I do want to see, though, is maybe try and prioritize the Pele or the Najah for Penitum instead of having it as open-ended options for Armada, because I definitely think that Penitum just looked a little bit shaky on this Bakasura, and it might be because Baka kind of relies on the hyper farm aspect in the early game,
right,
so he can really take off in that mid stage.